I wish Uncle Jack was still around. I used to be able to talk to him about anything.
I know what you mean. He was the best listener.
When he died, I didn't know who to talk to.
I'm listening.
Uncle Jack!
Do you have a favorite relative lost seemingly forever to the ravages of death? Well, worry no more. New Sinister Minutes Rent-A-Relative provides you with fresh opportunities to have one last conversation or a night of entertainment for the whole family. Sign up today and you'll be greeted at your door by a person who looks, sounds, and smells exactly like the person you miss most. Sinister Minutes Rent-A-Relative provides a variety of packages to fulfill your needs. Try our starter package, which includes one evening visit filled with whispers only. Or try the premium kit and enjoy your relative for an overnight stay. They'll sleep in your bed and talk to you all night long. Finally, if that's not enough, with our eternal package, they never leave you again, unless you cancel. Death is no longer enough to stop visiting. Sinister Minutes claims no responsibility for anything that occurs as a result of you signing up for this program. Would you seriously let someone inside if they showed up at your door and looked, sounded, and smelled just like your dead relative? Are you out of your mind? There's no telling who or what might be waiting for you at the door. Just do like we do when the bell rings and slowly slip to the floor. As always, any funds provided to Sinister Minutes are immediately spent on the kind of crap your dead relatives probably spent their lifetimes warning you not to waste your money on. Got a minute or two? We have a way to make it not okay. Welcome to Sinister Minutes. I'm your host, writer and storyteller Kurt Homan. Next to me is the master of macabre musical musings, the maestro of mood, Tim Parker. Together, let us take you on a journey into the dark heart of disturbing. Sinister Minutes. It's not okay. Sinister Minutes features tales that include disturbing content. That's intentional because, like the podcast itself, the creators here at Sinister Minutes are really not okay. Now, having said that, realize that content featured on this podcast may include descriptions of some pretty horrific things at times. It is a dark fiction podcast, after all. So we hope that you are anticipating some degree of abuse and blood, of harm and death, of suicide, of sex, of injury, of mutilation, of pain, and certainly some profanity. Maybe a little bit of screaming, occasionally some threats, a bit of torture, a bit of victim blaming. And as always, at some point, we're sure that you're going to encounter some witches. Don't say we didn't warn you. Welcome to Sinister Minutes, Season 2, Episode 13. It's the late 70s. The world's begun to transition. Nobody says groovy or far out anymore, no matter what Google's AI engine tries to claim in 2025. Disco's being crushed under the combined leather boots of punk and metal, and brightly colored polyester gives way to black everything. T-shirts, studded leather jackets, and the tightest pants imaginable. Today's tale, Killing Spree, is the story of the 70s metal band Bloodhound and their frontwoman Jenny Beckett, up until the incident that led to their premature and abrupt end. The story comes to us courtesy of guest author John Kuyat. a New York City-based horror and spec fiction writer. His work has appeared in Horror Tree's Trembling with Fear, Graveside Press's Howl, a shape-shifting anthology, Dug Up Magazine, and Flash Phantoms. You can find him on Instagram at john.docx. Then, to keep the mood going, Tim's got some music for you to enjoy, a little something he calls Cellar Door. As always, we offer our gratitude for your support, for letting us entertain you, for sharing Sinister Minutes with your friends. Whether you're joining us for the first time today or you've been listening forever, we encourage you to go back and check out the shows in our vault. Please subscribe or even leave us a nice rating at Spotify or Apple or Amazon or wherever you listen. Also, SinisterMinutes.com has links to all the episodes, places to subscribe, some juicy bits about the creators, and if you've got a story of your own, something with a dark or sinister bent, something you'd like to hear on a future Sinister Minutes episode, well, just visit SinisterMinutes.com and fill out the submission form included there. We read every entry, and we love a good tale, so go ahead. Convince us that, like us, you are not okay. Killing Spree, written by John Kuyat, narrated by Kurt Homan. It broke the cage we kept it in, spilled the food we gave it. We called our band Bloodhound. If you've heard of us, you've heard the stories, the scary ones from the newspaper clippings, and then later, when the internet popped, from the haunted back rooms of Reddit. There were a lot of those. Most accounts were sort of accurate, really, in their own way. More than is typical, at least, with dark things like this. If you knew us, then you'd already know our names, but I'll mention them again anyway. Mine's Jenny Beckett, former face of the band. I played guitar and sang. Robin Wexler did drums. Denise Daly played bass. We were 3 women playing hard stuff, which was a big deal at the time, I guess, on the dark side of the 70s. But we just played what we liked listening to, then played it better. The stories came after the release of our first and only record, and the shows that went with it. What the label called the Killing Spree Tour. I mean, the articles pretty much wrote themselves with a name like that, but that name was only lifted from the title of the record, and the title of the record lifted from its lead single. We played metal, after all. Think Kiss, Blue Oyster Cult, bang, then crank the knob up, and you're still only halfway there. So sure, the name was hard, but that was us. Killing Spree, the single, kicked everything off at the Swamp End of July 1978. It peaked 9 on the top 40 and was therefore good enough for Radon Records to bill us on our own American tour. The idea was to do the East first, then West. We were all from Baltimore anyway, so we'd start there. I mean, we had Nashville, Minneapolis, Aspen to look forward to. I mean, there was promise. But it died. We never made it past Jersey, for Christ's sake. Never made it off Route 70. "Hey, Jenny," Denise whispered from the passenger seat over the warm rumble of our street van. "Let's take Zepp with us." I had just cranked the engine on. It was early morning in August, and a periwinkle sky stretched out in front of us beyond the dash as we idled there in the driveway. Denise's blonde shag was a mess, her eyebrows furrowed, and her mouth pulled into that shit-eating grin, the one that made her look goofy high off a bad idea. Part of me liked those ideas. They were fun, like how getting away with things can sometimes be. "What? You want to take your—" I started, but Denise was already out of the blue Dodge make and sprinting back into the house. We'd spent the night at her parents' place after kicking off the tour in downtown Baltimore, and had saved a few bucks that way, but by sunrise, I was itching to get us back on the road to our next show in Philly. "What's going on?" Robin asked, yawning. She was sprawled out, half asleep in the back of the van. It wasn't the worst place to sleep, actually. We had piled up some throw pillows and had the whole inside upholstered in pink carpet. It gave the whole car a mouthish tongue look, when the doors gaped open at least. When Denise returned from her quick errand, she unlatched the back doors. They wailed open, and Robin and I jumped at the thunderous roof that followed. Zep, the daily 60-pound silver husky, a godforsaken hulk of animal, clumsied his way into the Dodge. He went right for Robin's face, but Denise tugged the leash back just before he could slather our drummer in spit. "Jesus Christ, we're not taking that thing with us, are we?" Robin shouted. "What's the biggie?" Denise said, grunting with a taut leash. "I brought a cage." "Jenny," Robin said. She looked at me, and I just shrugged. "Whatever," I sighed. "Just lock him up. We have to go." The first incident happened that night, at the Langford, the only place housing metal in Philadelphia at the time. Denise was beside me off stage, resting her head on my shoulder. I felt the strands of her still messy shag tickle my ear. I almost giggled, but the sound died fast inside me, like a butterfly detonating in a bug zapper. The two of us watched from the wing as Robin soloed on stage, pounding out a heavy-on-the-toms rhythm. Tunka-tunka-tunk, tunka-tunka-tunk. Keep the crowd engaged, from end of set to encore. We'd worked this bit out in practices leading up to the tour. Denise whispered something in my ear. "What?" I asked. With Robin hacksawing away on stage, tunka-tunka-tunk, tunka-tunka-tunk. It was hard to hear anything else, even at such close range. "Let's get Zep out," Denise said, again but louder. "Bring him on stage." "Are you actually insane?" She did a shushing sign, finger to devil-red lipstick. "But don't tell Robin. I mean, what a drag, right? How'd we end up with that buzzkill?" She walked backward a couple of steps, her thick-heeled boots nearly matching Robin's tunka-tunka-tunk, then spun like a ballerina toward the inconspicuous steel-barred door that gave on the parking lot. "Denise," I said, but the door was already wailing shut behind her, and I needed to get back out and rejoin Robin. I ambled onto a stage aflame in hot pink floodlights. I could hear the electricity's volty, insectile buzz under Robin's tunka-tunka-tunk, tunka-tunka-tunk. Those neons baked me, and I had to swipe a fat drop of sweat from my brow as I stepped to the microphone, an irritable super scope that relished any opportunity to yup its pitchy little whine. As it was, the pits of my red jumpsuit were slick with sweat, too. I imagine the same had to be true of Robin, chugging away at those drums in her white jumper, and of Denise in her black one, wherever the hell she was. Robin stopped playing then and cocked her head to where Denise should be. I shook my head, shrugged, and turned to the crowd, which was an amorphous, docile thing, save for a few hoops and whistles. I tugged the chest of my jumper, trying to strike a cool breeze through the material to ventilate. The mic at my lips squealed again, and I muttered a low 4 count, sending Robin and me head first into killing spree. The audience gasped first, and then I heard the growl. almost like the gurgle of the rough-and-tumble van we had stationed out back. The call escalated to a roof, woof, and I knew that noise well enough. Zep. That manic Siberian pulled Denise out onto the stage, base slung over her stomach and her animal jumping off a tight leash that lacerated her forearm into several pudgy coils. "Easy, boy, easy," she shouted. Robin and I were well into the song's first chorus when we stopped. "Well," I said after a surprised second, "can't say we planned this one, but give it up for Zep." The husky leaned back on his haunches, then raised his paws and gnashed the air with his teeth. He gave another abrasive bark, and the crowd, they cheered. They actually cheered. Denise tugged Zep back, and he came to rest a moment on all fours while she snuck his leash through the handle of her bass amp, a 50-pound monolith of machine. The crowd was still going, and all I could think of was to do the same. Those 5 words any good rock star has buzzing in her head almost implicitly. Almost always. The show must go on. And it did. We went into the second verse with Denise, as Zep stayed there, tethered to the amp, growling, sneering, lurching toward the crowd, dribble slipping from his maw. And no one could deny that was hard. That was metal. "Jesus, that was insane," I said. I laughed and beat my fist against the steering wheel. It was past midnight and pitch black outside the van, but for the occasional headlights running the opposite direction, which themselves were few and far between at that late hour. We were running the road again, bound for Asbury, but radio on low, delivering the goods, the song and the hum of freeway beneath our tires. The plan was to crash at some beachside motel, a place near tomorrow's venue. "Heck yeah, it was insane. Didn't I say?" Denise propped her black boots up on the dash and lit a cigarette. She turned Judas Priest up a notch and reclined in the passenger seat. "That's one word for it," Robin mumbled from the back. She dragged a thin blue blanket over herself and rested her head on one of the throws. "Oh, get off it, Wexler," Denise said. She exhaled a small ring of dark smoke. "You know it fucking rocked. It killed." "Roof!" Zep barked in the cage. Its tinkly steel frame rattled along with the minute but constant back-and-forth groove of the van as it barreled down Route 70 and into a roundabout. "It really did," I said. "The crowd..." I stopped. We had just shot past a short road sign that read Millbank State Forest. "Shit, I think we missed a turn back there. Denise, can you get that map out?" I pointed to the glove compartment. Denise groaned, punched on the dull overhead light, and clicked open the glove box. She shuffled through a few papers before pulling out a pamphlet marked New Jersey State Map. She held it close to her face, right under the soft car light and just out of reach from the hot end of her cig. Trails of thin smoke rose against the map. "I can't tell. We're moving too fast. Pull over somewhere." "Jesus, okay." I took the van over to the side of the road and parked. Denise and I hunched over the map together and intermittently glanced outside and then back down at the paper, trying to make sense of the nonsensical zigs and zags that flashed across it. I also checked the dash once. 12:20, it said in its eerie and techish red. And in that moment, it happened. I heard 2 sounds simultaneously. The louder was Robin's, shrieking, and I mean that, shrieking, a scream that went right through my rib cage and monkeyed the curve of bone there. The other sound was large, a metallic crash. Denise and I turned. In the back, Robin had her blanket drawn to the brim of her nose, and beyond her, Zepp had flipped his cage, bowling it over onto its side. From within it still, the husky stood upright, bared his teeth, and gave his low growl. "Denise!" Robin shouted. "Will you control your—" Another crash, and she didn't get a chance to finish her thought, to say dog or animal or wolf, because the husky had charged the cage and burst straight through it like an apparition through a wall. He was out. The pen collapsed into a pancake of its constructible sides, and Zepp was on Robin, his forepaws on her blanket. "Get back! Get—" Another shriek, and the animal's teeth were in Robin's neck. The back of her skull smacked the pink carpet wall. Her head slid limply to the floor. "Shit, shit, shit," I said. I jimmied the door handle, but Denise didn't move. She stared in total white terror as her pet ate. Murdered! My door crashed open. Cool night rushed my face, which was flush with adrenaline, fear, and sweat. I dropped a leg out, and my boot touched dry roadside grass. I looked back once more at Denise, but she still had not moved. The garble of consumption continued in the back. "Denise!" I shouted, and when I did, the animal's head shot up. He growled again and went at his master. I don't think Denise screamed as she died. Not like Robin, anyway. But I don't remember. I really don't remember. Outside, I didn't know if I should run, if I could run faster than that monster. So instead, I climbed to the top of the van and lay there, curled. I felt the van shake and shake as Zepp devoured Denise beneath me. I heard the eating sounds, too. No other shrieks or screams, but those sounds, for sure. And when that was finished, I listened as the animal jumped from the car and watched as he sauntered down the middle of the highway and then, after several yards, bound into the forest. And from the radio still on, playing softly inside the van, I heard our song. I heard Killing Spree and shivered. There's a theory out there, on a few of those back rooms of Reddit, that Killing Spree is a sort of trigger for some dog breeds, that the song makes them crazy, near rabid. I'm not sure if it does. I haven't tested, and I won't. And you wouldn't either. Not if you saw what I did. You really wouldn't. And if you saw that animal now with the tinkling, bone-shaped tag, Zepp, in all caps, dangling from its thick neck, you wouldn't hesitate. You'd run. You'd climb up high. And you'd wait there until the monster disappeared deep into the forest. Cellar Door, composed and performed by Tim Parker. Sinister Minutes is presented by Kurt Homan and Tim Parker. The musical score was composed and performed by Tim Parker. Our production team consists of Kurt Homan and Tim Parker. On behalf of everyone here at the Sinister Minutes podcast, namely Kurt Homan and Tim Parker, we thank you for listening, for joining us as we explore all the ways in which we are not okay. This audio program is copyright by Kurt Homan and Tim Parker under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license.